Hey everyone, welcome to Moms in Real Estate. I'm Angela Fazio, and our guest today is Casey Boyinton. She's from South Carolina. She just got her license March 15th, I think, and went full-time in July, and she's already closed almost $1.5 million of real estate. So I am so excited for you to talk with her, or hear her actually. So let's get started.
Angela Fazio is an industry powerhouse who has overseen 40,000 homes sold and $9 billion in production. And Kristen Cantrell is one of the nation's most accomplished team leaders, helping thousands of agents build their businesses. They are passionate about educating, encouraging, and empowering moms in real estate. Our next episode starts now.
Hey ladies. Hi Kristen, my beautiful co-host, and hi Casey.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Casey Boyinton. Like you said, I just got my license earlier this year in March, in the middle of, or I guess the beginning of the COVID pandemic, and was full-time employed. I originally started my career in construction management. So I've been in project management for the last 5 to 6 years. In Arizona in my internship, and then over in Virginia for the last 5 years. My husband is in the Navy, so we just recently moved to Charleston in 2019 and had our little daughter back in 2019 as well. She just turned a year, and I just finished, like I said, just got licensed in March and left my project management, construction management job in July. So, but my first couple of months full-time real estate, and I'm really loving it so far. It's been awesome.
How was it transitioning for you during COVID? Like, were you scared to be like, okay, I'm leaving this career and I'm getting into real estate, and here we are in the middle of a pandemic?
Yes. Yeah. There was a lot of doubt in the timing of everything, because it was so difficult to leave a really secure salary and career to pursue this. And part of me was, questioning if the time was now, if this is a huge mistake for our family's finances, for my career. And I just had so many reassuring factors that now was the time that kept coming up to me, that now is the time to do it. And so I'm really glad I did it. It was very stressful and very difficult, but looking back on it, I'm really glad I kind of made the leap when I did.
Well, what were some of the confirmation factors?
So when I was working both jobs, I was full-time working from home, which was super, super convenient, and really, really grateful that I was able to do that. So I was working from home full time and then doing real estate kind of on the side for the first few months. And I just really looked forward to the real estate side of it every day. And I would wake up being super excited to do real estate and excited to be done with work at the end of the day so I could start real estate at the end of the day. And all of those kind of reaffirming things that this is really what I want to be doing was a huge, huge help for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I feel like a lot of people, a lot of women with young kids, like, get into real estate for the flexibility. Was that one of your big driving factors?
It was, yeah. I've wanted to get into real estate since I was in college, really. I remember thinking back in 2012, 2013, oh, I should get my license. And I'm kind of kicking myself now that I didn't do it then, because I would at such a different place in my career, but I just was focused on a different path at that time. And so it was very reassuring once we had our daughter and that we're in the place that we are now, and being somewhat transient, being in the military lifestyle, that this was a much better fit for our lifestyle as a whole, as a family, and to be able to have more time with our daughter and have me time, because that was something I really didn't have before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing 2 jobs and trying to start real estate, as one of them, you don't have any time. I don't know how you would ever get me time. So how did you get your first deals? It is remarkable to get deals that quickly and be are you still around $1.5 million in production?
Yeah, just under.
Nice. And tell us about that, because I know people have got to be like, what, was it your mom and your brother? How did you get there? That was awesome.
Thank you. It was really our sphere, our network. Fortunately, my husband is, has a consistent group of people that he's always around and that are also coming and going similar to us. So that was really what I've focused my efforts on in being the go-to person for our military friends and families around us in our neighborhood, in our community, and then also social media. Those have been really my only two avenues of how I'm procuring business and getting to know people and building those relationships. So those have really been my only two things. But my first couple of deals were friends that we knew or people that I didn't know, but my husband had went to school with 5 years ago or something like that. It's just been our sphere locally, which has been awesome.
Your husband's like what a lot of people want in real estate.
Yeah, and he's a lot more outgoing than I am. So I'm really lucky for that because he just talks to everybody, especially at work. So
that's the best.
It's been good. Yeah.
Was he really supportive of your decision?
He was. Yeah, he was. And when I had doubts about, okay, should I be doing this right now? Should I really be doing this right now? Is this a huge mistake to jump into this? He was like, just do it. Do it right now. Call them, tell them you're done. And I was like, there's just so much more that goes into it. But he was super, super supportive, and he's known how long I've wanted to do this. And I remember when I was in construction management, when we first started dating 5 or 6 years ago, he would talk to people about how long-term I wanted to flip houses and I wanted to do real estate. And so he's known how long I've wanted to do this. And so it was really helpful to have his total support, because it's a huge thing, not just for me, but for our family, our finances, our future outlook, everything. So it was really great to have his support.
I wish I could say that everyone we talk to, all the women that we talk to have the support of their husband, but unfortunately, that's just not the case. So you are super fortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I first started in real estate, I didn't know anyone, and my husband and I met in real estate, and I would look at him, I'm like, do you have any friends? He's like, no, I don't have any friends. He's like, do you have any friends? I'm like, no, I don't have any friends.
Make some friends.
We're very supportive of each other, but we had no friends.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I'm totally the social one in my marriage. Dave is, but after a few cocktails. Otherwise, he's quiet as could be.
That's true. Or if he knows you really well, then he's fun.
Yeah, it's true. So if you were, I feel like if there's a new agent watching and you're like, okay, here's what it's kind of look like for me. If you could what does your days look like? Maybe describe that. And then what has been your biggest struggle so far?
So I guess so to start with kind of what my days look like. So, starting beginning of June, we actually enrolled our daughter in daycare because I was at my wit's end with everything, that I didn't have enough time to put energy into what I wanted to. So we have actually just decided to take her out of that at the end of the month. So that'll be a whole different chapter. But I do the family thing in the morning. I get up with her. I spend time with her and my husband. He goes off to work. I spend at least 2 to 2.5 hours lead generating every day, Monday through Friday. And that is something that I can't not do. And that was something that I decided at the very beginning was one thing I couldn't be flexible on. And then, any appointments I need to get done, any emails, whatever that I need to do, coffee, lunch dates, which have been really difficult to do because everything's been a little weird with COVID. But I initially planned, when I was kind of figuring out how I was going to get business and how I was going to start my business, was a big part of that was open houses, and that's completely off the table. Was non-existent. So that was a little difficult, but it's been really interesting. And there's been challenges that I didn't necessarily expect, as far as even just figuring out CRM systems and figuring out how I want them to work for me, and putting systems in place that are realistic long-term that I'll actually use. That's probably been the most difficult thing, because there's such a massive amount of technology and systems that are out there and available at every brokerage, right? And so that's been really difficult, because I'm figuring out what I need to do, what I want to do, and stuff that I just need to decide, okay, that's not realistic. I'm not going to do that. So that's been really challenging.
CRM systems have always been my challenge, always. Until recently, I do love my new one. Like, I've been using this one for 6 months now, and I use it like religiously. Before that, I've tried probably 10, and I would only use my Google Calendar. I'm like, nope, this will do. Now I'm like, okay, I need to open my eyes a little bit.
I still have a calendar, like a paper calendar that I write on, because that is just how I remember things. Like, I'll look at it and be like, okay.
Look at my calendar, my son.
Oh, God.
I'm like, what are you doing?
You can't do that to Google. So
no.
I had an office manager, like, I don't know how long ago it was. It had to be like 5 or 6 years ago, that like literally forced me to go to a Google Calendar because I was all paper. Thank God she did. I don't know how I ever did that beforehand.
I know.
Yeah, it gets messy, especially when things change, because then you're like Xing things out, and I, for whatever reason, can't do it in pencil. It's not an option. So
I know
it's just yeah, it gets messy, but it helps me a lot still. But I'm sure that'll go away eventually.
So I have this weird thing where I buy probably like 6, 7 calendars, paper calendars a year, and I get started and I'm all into them, and then I get over them.
Yeah.
And then I do it again. I don't know what my problem is. It's every year.
You're like, this is the year, it'll work.
So who on the real estate side is guiding you? Like, do you have a mentor, or do you have people that you're watching that you just like to follow the way they do business?
Yeah, I definitely have a couple. So a woman who was our realtor, my husband and I's realtor initially, she is licensed here both in South Carolina and Virginia. Her name is Jessica Lucas. She's with the brokerage that I'm with, Keller Williams. And she's been a huge help and a huge like inspiration. She started her business with all 3 of her kids at home and has just been killing it. She's like 5 years in now and is super helpful, super accessible. She's like always willing to help me for the little random one-off weird questions that I still have all the time. And also Ariel Dewitt, the guest you guys had on a few weeks ago, she's been one of my best friends since high school, and her husband are absolutely killing it in Arizona. And she's one of my go-tos when I have even just like strategy questions or like questions that I'm like, how did you get through this when you were a new agent? Like, I called her the other day and was like, how do you just get comfortable selling yourself to people without feeling salesy? And we had this huge long-winded conversation about it, but it was so helpful to get her insight and like her struggles with that as well. And those have been the couple that I really go to. I
love that.
Yeah.
I got confused. I did this again when you call her Ariel and then you said Duet. It's I think Elle Dewitt.
Yeah.
And so I totally get thrown off.
Yeah, I need to catch on to the L thing, but
I love the show because the people who watch it and they think they're the only ones who are struggling with these same questions. I mean, for everything from like systems to strategy to mindset to like, you have to pump yourself up. And I mean, it's a difficult business. It's super rewarding, but there's so many different angles that you have to deal with when you're in the real estate sales business. So I love that you are experiencing great success, but you're able to say, you know, it's hard. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because I studied a lot before I even started to study for my license. I studied a lot on like how I would want to run my business, how I would want to get my clients and things like that. And I kind of identified what I know to be my personal like limiting factors in what might hurt my business or make it not successful. And so to kind of think about those and then really have to work on those once I actually started and implement those things was a game changer. And you do come up with like a whole different slew of struggles, but also a couple other things that work really well. And you're like, okay, this is going to work. And it's been really cool to kind of see that all come together.
Yeah, that is so wise to think like when I talk to agents, I will talk to them about like, what are your strengths that, you know, in your personality that are going to serve you well? And what are the things that you need to look out for? Just, it's not going to make you fail or anything, but you just have to know that about yourself so that when it happens, you're not surprised. So that's really smart of you to think about that ahead of time. I have rarely met somebody who thinks about that ahead of time.
So rare. Yeah. I'm telling you, if I ask a new agent, like how they plan on getting business, usually they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly. That's really wise. So
Yeah.
we were talking before, like not on the show, but before, about how hard it was for you. It was such a struggle to realize you can't do it all. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, it was very apparent when I was working full time, had my daughter at home, and was really kind of knee deep in trying to get my business started, and just feeling at the end of the day that I was like at my wit's end and just like mentally checked out because I was so just wigged out about everything I was trying to do that I felt just like this overwhelming like panic every day. And that was when we really had kind of a come to Jesus family talk about, okay, I can't, even though I work from home and it's so rare to be able to have your kids at home with you, it's just not working right now. And I need to have that time. And I felt really guilty about it for a long time at the beginning because, you know, a lot of people wish that they could have their kids at home or even just be able to work from home, which a lot of people are able to do right now under the circumstances. But, you know, to be able to have her home with me and to be putting that off and putting her into daycare was a huge guilt factor for me. But then after like a month of her being in, I think my husband and I noticed a huge difference in each other where we weren't like at our wits' end every single day. And we were both much happier at the end of the day and able to spend more intentional time with her. And I was able to spend intentional time on my business and able to kind of wrap up my previous job to be able to get this full time, to do real estate full time. So it was a huge struggle at the, you know, before we accepted that, but that was probably the best thing that we did at the time that really changed my whole mental space and energy, really.
I love that. I think that's so important too. I used to struggle so hard with like being gone and feeling guilty. And then I realized like, you know, if I spent any time working at home, I would be like, oh my gosh, I end up being like a complete like basket case towards them anyways. Like that's not the best mom that they need to be around. Like I need my space. I need to go to work, do my thing. And then when I'm back home, like be intentional, like you're saying, with your time with them. And it's just so much better.
Well, here's the truth. There are enough whack job agents out there. If we can avoid being one of them, we should probably do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can be a little bit wacky, but we can hide it more when we're not at home with our kids all day.
Yeah. Or have my kids screaming in the background of all these calls when I'm like trying to work.
I was on a Zoom call with an agent that was moving over to work with us, and my son threw an eraser in my eyeball, like on the call. And he doesn't have kids, and I laugh every time I talk to him. It's some kind of chaos, and I'm like, "You want kids, right?"
Are you sure?
We're sitting there like professional conversation, boom. And I'm like, oh my God.
I'm blind now. I gotta go.
Yeah.
So we were doing a Moms in Real Estate episode one time, and I think it was Dean it was Lucas.
It was great. COVID moms in real estate. My kids were a nightmare. They were always in the show.
So what kind of advice, if we were going to wrap everything up, because you are still new, you're still learning, but you're killing it, and obviously super wise. So give us some advice for the people who are watching, because we have some good watchers right now. Give them some advice about anything, letting go of guilt or anything that you think would help, whether they're new or experienced, to be successful in this career.
I would say that one of the biggest things for me was that I had to let go, like you said, of the guilt, even of my mom guilt of sending her to daycare, that I had to let go of the guilt of leaving my old job and my secure career and salary to do this for selfish reasons, and realize it's not a selfish reason. This is what I want to do for our family and for my business, that I had to like let go of a lot of just those negative thoughts and just dive in. And that was probably the biggest reason why I think that I have had success in these first 6 months, because that is really not common really for some new agents, that it's super achievable. But I think a lot of new agents don't necessarily set themselves up for success, and realizing that it is a business. You have to work on it 40 hours a week, just like you would any other business, in how you want to do it. And that was really how I transitioned it, I guess, to go from working full-time to continue working full-time, and not take it as like, oh, I have this work from home job that I can just tend to as needed. To really think of real estate as a business was probably one of the best things that I think helped me to get started.
I have a feeling that this episode is going to be shared with a lot of people. You did such a good job. Well, I want to thank you for your time and for sharing your life with us this week. Any last words, Kristen? Are you good?
No, I'm good. You did awesome.
So good. Thank you guys for watching. Don't jump off, Casey. Thank you guys for watching. And next week, No Moms in Real Estate, we are traveling to Michigan to meet with our team there. So I'm so excited. God bless you guys, and we'll talk to you later.